Hello.
Hello?
Hi, Craig. This is Jerry. I'm listed as Donna because I started the meeting, but this is Jerry Gahala.
Good morning. No. Oh, there we go. There we go.
I don't see your email, your name in the email list. Are you ARCA member? What's your last name?
Are you talking with me?
Yeah, Craig, yeah.
Yeah, Peterson. I'm with TCARES, one of the board members of TCARES.
TCARES. What is TCARES?
Uh-oh. I wonder if I'm at the right meeting. Could be I'm in the wrong one.
This is the ARCA Ham Radio Club for Alameda, California.
Okay. You have George K6GEO as your guest speaker.
Yes,
I'm one
yes.
of his directors.
Oh, okay.
I got invited to this. That's what I'm doing.
There it is. Yeah, to the top of the things, the TCARES Radio Club. Okay. TCARES, that's right. You said TCARES, I'm thinking TCARES is what I'm thinking. Okay.
No. Yes. No, up here in Sonora, Jamestown.
Okay, that's good.
Where it's been snowing all morning. So
Okay.
nice.
Sonora, okay. Which was the video? Which is this? Oh, wrong one. That's one. This one. There you go. You can see me. So how active is TCARES up in your area?
Actually, we have a pretty good club. I believe over 100 members, 3-4 nets a week. We're involved in community activities, bicycle races, runs, and stuff like that. And if we have lots of fires, we're all on the air monitoring everything for emergency communications. So yeah, we have a pretty good club. We've got a 4 repeater system that pretty well covers all of Tuolumne County and Stanislaus County for that matter. So it's a good system.
Okay, so TCARES is Amateur Radio Electronics Society, not ARES. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. George is the ARES member. So, but yeah, no, we're actually have a very, very nice system up here. It's pretty good. And I mean, they can talk back to the Bay Area, actually to Livermore and Altamont Pass and up into North Bay areas with the right equipment. And we've had people check in from there before too. So all the way north to Sacramento, down to Fresno. It's a pretty good area.
That's good. And there's Gene. Good morning, Gene. If you're talking, Gene, you're on mute. So you were. Hello, Dan.
Okay, good morning. Can you see me?
No, I can hear you, but I can't see you, Dan.
Okay. Try to fix that.
There we go. Now I can see you.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm
Any
here.
peppers? Are those real peppers?
No. These are souvenirs from a trip to New Mexico a long time ago.
Okay.
All right, let's try to get set up over here.
Well, that's better.
Yeah, good. There's Ron.
There we go.
How many members do you have in your club, Jerry?
On the books, it's 26.
Mm-hmm.
We're making some changes, so we hope to get some more this year from our CERT team. Just crossover.
Not bad.
Morning.
Good morning, Ron.
Morning.
I'm not sure what time George was going to join, if he's going to join at the top of the hour or wait till it's about his turn. We usually go through our board stuff or our meeting stuff first. Ron, did you talk to George and ask, did he want to go at the beginning or at the end? Does he have a preference?
Oh, actually, again, people didn't read my email properly. He's not actually going to be speaking. He's written a presentation and I'm going to give it and then give a supplementary to it. So basically we can, better to get the business part of the meeting out of the way like we usually do.
Okay. Craig, did you understand that to be what's happening? Craig's on the TCARES board as well, so.
Yeah, I understood he was going to do the talk. That's what I was.
Okay. Well, he sent me the PDF, basically. He's got, evidently, there is a TCARES meeting this morning or something like that.
Yeah, we have a board meeting at 10:30.
Yeah, and that's why he can't make it. So that you just answered my question. Yeah, very good.
Oh.
So I'm gonna imagine that I'm George.
Okay.
Yeah, the agenda does say Ron Fitch is speaking, but at the top it says George is the presenter. So that's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Now
Okay.
I understand he gave this presentation on Tuesday for a technical group in your club or something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
well, why would they tell the board? God. All right.
I don't know. So, Craig, if you want to hear it again, if you want to hear George's words through Ron's mouth, then you can stay on or
Sure.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I'll
make sure he does it right.
Okay.
Okay, we'll give it a few more minutes, see who else is able to join us.
George and I go way back.
He's a good guy.
Yep.
I'm checking my radio to make sure they didn't decide to move the board meeting up, but there's nobody on. So we have to do ours. We have to do ours on the air this morning because of all the snow. The roads are impassable. We can't get together in one place. So, but that was scheduled for 10:30 this morning. So that's why I thought he'd be talking. So.
Oh, I see.
So I'm more than happy to listen.
Yeah.
Always learn something.
Well, as you'll see in the in what the slides that I'm going to show this morning, George has pitched an awesome case for why we should get on 10 meters. And but earlier in the week or a week ago, Darren and I had some email exchanges, and he basically said, what band should I be operating on? And that's a valid question. So I decided I'm going to give George's presentation and then supplement it with a look at what band should I be on.
Great.
10 has been awesome lately. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
We had the solar flux up to 315 last weekend. That's unheard of. Didn't last, but whew.
Yeah, I know he works it quite a bit. He was talking all over the place on it. So he was hitting a lot of Europe. He was hitting Europe, and he never hits Europe.
Yeah, Europe from George's location. He's got a mountain right in front of it.
All solid granite.
Into Europe, you know the band is open.
Yeah, he was very excited about that.
Yeah, I've done many operations with him and single lot from his location there.
Mhm.
It's an interesting location.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, well, it's 9:05, so we can get started with the meeting. Do this.
Do we have a quorum of members? So if we need to vote on something, we can.
We generally don't, I don't know, do we generally vote on anything or make decisions during these meetings? There's nothing
Once in a
scheduled.
while, something has to be put forth before the membership. I
Yeah,
don't
well-
think that's happened in a while, but
We have to go over the new board, so that's the question. Who would be voting, the new board or the old board, which is basically the same thing without Donna. So it's you and Dan's here. There's Dan over there on the left. So basically, yeah, you do have a quorum of the board.
if we didn't have a quorum, we simply wouldn't be able to vote on anything, but
Yeah.
everything else would be okay.
So that's fine. And Molly's here. Okay. So, let's see here. Share screen. Can you see my screen? I don't think so. Oh, there we go. This one. Okay. So now you should be able to see my screen. So welcome to the February 25th board general meeting. My name is Jerry. I'm not Donna today. Donna's out today, so I'm going to be taking over and helping her today. Couple of housekeeping things. First, let's go over the membership. How can I do this? What we generally do is have you identify yourself, your name, your call sign, and any intriguing fact about yourself. For instance, my name is Jerry Jahala, KT6CRT, and the local areas leader for Alameda. Craig.
My name is Craig Peterson, KM6NCU. I'm in Jamestown, in the snow.
Hey, Gene. Now you're muted. You were unmuted before, Gene. You're muted now. We can't hear you. Try click the button again, Gene. Still can't hear you. Nope. Okay, now try it. Now, Gene, now you're unmuted. Gene, try talking now, but you're unmuted now. Oh, now you're muted again. Okay, we'll come back to you, Gene, because you keep. Okay, now try it one more time. Just talk. Nope. Yeah, you're having some technical difficulties, so we can't hear you. That's Gene Dashel, KH6XJ. Dan.
Yeah, hi, Dan. KG6YZF, treasurer, and getting into HF big time now. Ron's helping me out, and we were talking about bands. And I was going to mention that last night at sunset, I was using the reverse beacon network to see how far my CW was going, and I was getting 3,000 mile pingbacks. So definitely conditions are much better. Although prior to that, because of the sun conditions, things were terrible. But definitely things are improving in HF.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Ron.
Hi, I'm Ron, WQ6X. I'm the ARCA Club president currently. And I'm a big contester. So if you don't know me before, you will know now that I'm a big contester. I just love doing it. So that's my thing. I love to compete.
Hey, Richard.
Yes, Richard, KG6DRB. I've been in the club for a number of years, but I just recently I started getting more active again. So I'm still studying for my general class license. I think I'm going to take the exam probably in April.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Steve.
Steve Belunik, KM6ZNZ, and just getting back into things after a while.
All right. Michael John.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Michael. Michael John, KF6YRG. I've been a member of the RAP. I've been a member of the ARCA for many years. I was here when it first started out. So, and I'm also a member of the ARRL as well. And the call sign is KF6YRG.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And Lori.
Hi, Lori, KM6TBA. As a CERT member, I decided to take the test, and then I took the test in Benicia 2018, and I've never touched a ham radio since. So I actually don't even know how to operate one, but I have a license, so.
Oh, we got to get you operating then. That's good. Okay, so that should be us in the screen. So net control, we have good coverage for the next 2 months. If anyone's interested in helping out with May for net control on Thursdays at 7 o'clock, let me or Donna know, and we can fill you in on these slots. In case you didn't see the email, the membership dues for 2023 have been waived for this year for all current and past ARCA members. We've also extended a invitation to all CERT members if you want to join ARCA and be more involved in the club here. So we will waive the membership there.
I responded to that. That's how I got the Zoom for this, so.
There you go. See, I invite to lots of things. Yeah, so you're also looking for someone to help with that radio, so we can try and find someone to help you out. We had the elections last month for board. Ron Fitch retained president, and Dan Adair is still going to be treasurer. We are still looking for a vice president and someone to be secretary. Donna and I will act as secretary in the interim until someone is available. So we'll see how that works out. These are the duties. You should have got this in the email as well. The duties of the office that we're looking for. There's a flyer by the 7th annual Loomis Hamfest. Ron, do you know what that's about?
No, I don't know what that's about. Where did that flyer come from?
That was in the letter in the agenda that Donna sent out. So is this something that TCARES does since it's Sierra Foothills?
No, they're north of us. It's up by Sacramento.
Okay.
Huh, okay, but how cool.
Yeah. So there's a Hamfest coming on if you're interested in going to see that. And backup repeater. Jim Wright was kind enough to create a backup repeater for the main repeater that ARCA has. And board just voted to give him the payment for that. So that's going to be done. And then we'll have that available to us in case the hospital falls down. The main repeater is on top of the old hospital building, which does not have backup power and is technically not earthquake safe. So if it does fall down or we have extended power outage, then that building may not be available to us. The repeater may not be available for us to get to add power. So we have a backup repeater. We just need to plug an antenna into and get it up and running if we needed to do so. So that's what that's about. Any other questions before we move on to our presentation? Stop sharing. Okay, Ron, can you share your presentation?
All right. Do I have screen sharing capability?
You should.
Because I'm going to eventually need to share my screen.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you should be able to now.
All right, very good.
Try it, make sure.
Welcome to ARCA club members and a couple of visitors from out of town. We love visitors from out of town. I've been on a lot on Zoom lately. Last night here in Alameda, we had a Toastmasters Area 22, which is for Alameda speech contest. And I wrote a speech for the contest last night entitled "Time to Get Rid of the F Word." Now, a lot of people misunderstood what I meant by that, so I had to hold up a sign. The F word is failure. So I just wanted to let people know that there's actually more than one F word. Now, let me get a folder up here so that I can share it. I'm going to do this first. So let's see if we can get the screen share to happen. Yeah, there we are. And I'm going to share a picture. Can you see that picture?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of those of you from the from TCARES will recognize this person Boy, why can't I get rid of that? Okay, there we go. Yeah, you'll recognize this person. This is George, N6GEO. He's the guy with the white hair. I'm the guy with the long hair. And I've known George since high school. We were both in the Livermore High School Amateur Radio Club. Kind of like happened with this club, somehow I found myself being president of the LHS ARC club. Nobody else wanted to do it, and so I did it. I don't know if I was any good at it, but George was in that club, and we used to hang out together a lot. And then when we graduated, we hadn't seen each other for years. I mean, literally years. And in 2009, we were at a class reunion that covered several years of students from Livermore High School, and I ran into him. And we immediately, it was like we had never left. And we began to talking about radio contests. And he proposed that we do the California QSO party in 2010. So what you're seeing here is the first four California QSO party events. The California QSO party is the first weekend in October, where everybody, stations in California, activate their county. And that's the idea. There is what is known as the County Hunters Award. And there are people who they get an award for working every county and every state. And the way that is made easier is with the state QSO parties. So we have our state QSO party in October. George and I made a expedition to Modoc. You can see there, we had a tent trailer. It wasn't much. The following year, we ran from his boat on the Sacramento River. We were about 100 yards inside of Sacramento County, so it counted as Sacramento County. We went back to Modoc, and we decided to bring a Yagi. And as you can see, the mast didn't make it. And I called this the Yagi that didn't quite make it. That whole trip was one disaster after another. I could give you a 10-minute talk on that, and I won't. Bottom line is, while we survived that disaster, and we got a first place for something, the following year, George repaired the beam, and you can see in 2014 that we actually made it happen. Also in 2014, during New Year's, George and I made a trip to St. Croix. He and his wife needed a vacation, and I needed just to hang out. So we ran the Riddy Roundup in January of 2014. We took first place for low power DX station. Those antennas that you see there aren't there anymore. They were blown down a few years back, but they have put up new antennas. So I would like to know what that is. The station call sign there is Kilowatt Papa 2 Mexico, KP2M. There's a wooden thing leaned against the wall outside downstairs that says Radio Reef. So KP2M is known as Radio Reef, and George and I operated from Radio Reef to run the Riddy contest. So that's who George is to me. We still do things off and on, but and we've got some plans coming up that I can't go into yet because I'm not even sure myself. I've been after George to do a presentation for our club, and I sent him a text a few days ago saying, come on, come on. Didn't hear from him. And then on Thursday, he said, well, I can meet you halfway. And so he just said he would give us a PowerPoint that I can show you this morning. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll start with this one, and I will share that. In fact, I'm just going to make it a separate window. Let me give you a background to how I think I understand what George was after. a lot of people with technician licenses think that all they can do is run on VHF. As a matter of fact, and I'm going to go to this in part 2 of this little presentation, if you look at the band plan layout for HF, you'll actually find out that there is a voice segment that technician people can use on 10 meters. So George's idea was to pitch a case for 10 meters this morning. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show his PowerPoint, and I'm basically going to take the viewpoint that George probably would have given in the way this PowerPoint is. So let me share the screen again. There it is. Did that share? Oh, there we go. Can somebody silence that radio, please?
Sorry, it was George talking to us.
Oh, okay.
He's an hour off. He forgot that the board meeting's at 10:30 this morning. So that's why I
Okay.
was checking.
Well, if he wants to show up, I would be happy to let him make this presentation, but
Keep going. I'll see. I'll send him a text message. See.
all right. So this is the presentation that George put together for us. You can see this is literally brand new, contemporary. Get on HF and work the world. Most people in, let's say, last 10 or 20 years, when they get a license, they start with a technician license, and their only exposure to radio is VHF and UHF. Nothing wrong with that. The only thing I don't like about VHF and UHF is that I can't work the world on it without having to use some sort of repeater or internet. On HF, I can put an antenna up in the air and shoot a signal northeast to Europe, southwest to Australia, northwest to Japan and Asia. So a lot of new amateurs don't know what is available on HF, high frequency. By the way, as a pop quiz, does anybody know the one band, the one amateur band that is actually not HF? The definition of HF, high frequency, is 3 to 30 megahertz. Well, it turns out 160 meters is at 1.8 megahertz. So technically that makes it a medium wave band, not a short wave band. The lower in frequency you go, the longer the antennas get. Likewise, the higher in frequency you go, the shorter the antennas get. So antennas for 160 meters are monstrous. I have access to a remote site in Anza, California, in San Bernardino Mountains. For 160 meters, we use a thing called a tri-square, 3 132-foot high verticals. 132 feet is a quarter wave on 160 meters. And they phase the verticals, and it works really well. As you come up in frequency, the antennas get shorter and shorter. As George is pointing out in this presentation, a half-wave dipole for 10 meters is only 17 feet. Dipoles are easy and the forests are full of trees. Well, now that's easy for George to say. You guys where you live, you have trees. Yeah.
Yep.
I love trees. I used to do field day with the group W6SW. We would go down to Mount Abel, which is near Fraser Park in Southern California. We had 75-foot pine tree branches. You could string up a 3-element wire Yagi that way. Well, that takes a boom, and it's a lot of weight. But really, all you need is a dipole. 2 supports, hoist it up, feed it at the center. Or if you want to get late, and now, by the way, you'll notice the radiation pattern on the dipole. The dipole radiates perpendicular to the wire. And you basically, if this wire is pointing north-south, then the signals are going east-west this way. So notice that a dipole has good signal reduction off the ends and maximum signal off of the perpendicular. The blue diagram here shows us the angle of radiation from a dipole, the angle that it takes off at. Now, it turns out a vertical has an even lower angle of radiation, which is great for DX, but verticals are inherently noisy. Noise is more or less vertically polarized. So verticals, unless you're in a phased way like we do in ANZA, verticals can pick up a lot of noise, but a dipole, horizontal, is relatively noise-free. Now, you can cheat. I have a motto, when in doubt, cheat, but within the rules. Instead of hoisting your dipole up at the ends, see where the feed line is, pull it up into one tree and droop it. You have an inverted V. An inverted V, actually, see, a dipole actually has a 72 ohm resistance. And our coax is 50 ohm. Most tuners can tune that out, no problem. But when you inverted V a dipole, the feed point resistance drops to about 54 ohms. That's perfect, perfect match. And an inverted V is more or less omnidirectional. So the advantage of the dipole is no pickup of signals on the end. The advantage of an inverted V is it doesn't matter where you point it, you're pretty much going to be able to talk to anybody anywhere. So George suggests best compromise is to direct your dipole east and west. I'm going to call that into question by about 45 degrees. It depends on who you want to work. If you're looking to work the US, okay, that'll work out pretty well. You'll more or less get into South America, not bad. Looks like you'll get the tip of Africa there, not bad. However, in general, when I'm looking, if I have to fix point an antenna, I point it northeast, because northeast is how I get into Europe and how I get into Australia with the southwest.
That makes sense.
So that's my thinking on it. Europe is more important to me most of the time than the tip of Africa. And South America, the antennas I've been using lately, I seem to point them this way, and I still pick up South America anyway. So I'm not sure. But in general, George's point is correct. Notice that a dipole has a large beam width, so you will get a lot of signals not quite off the center of the dipole. As you can see, that line curves, meaning the signal level is dropping. The further away you get from the center, the signal drops. And then exactly on the ends of the dipole, you have infinite rejection. So there is a lot of stuff to be had. Now, how do you find stations, DX stations? About a week ago, I guess they finished about a week ago, there was a DXpedition to an island that I can't even remember. It was in the middle of nowhere, west of South Africa and east of South America. They made this amazing expedition there. It was, while it's coming up on, how would that be? It would be going into the fall there. There was still snow everywhere. and they managed to haul equipment up on ropes onto these cliffs. And they basically activated the radios there. The pileups were horrendous. I never got a chance to contact him. I was never on at the right time. But those are the rarities. In general, if you want to find DX stations, there's a number of ways to go about it. George has listed DX spotting sites. Each of these sites, you can set up filters if you wish for a specific band. And George, in this example, set up a filter for 10 meters. Notice the picture of the globe in the middle there, and all those colored lines are signals being heard communicating to each other. You can literally watch a band open up. 10 meters is like that, about 6 a.m. Look at this little map, and you'll see virtually no lines, at least no lines from us on the West Coast. You might see lines out in Europe or over in Asia, but it hasn't gotten to us yet. These websites let us know when a band is open. In part 2 of my presentation, I'm going to raise the question, how do you know when a band is open? I've heard so many people, especially like 2 years ago, when the solar flux was way down, people would say, 10 meters is not open, 10 meters is dead. Really? Okay. And then a lot of people would say, yeah, 10 meters is dead. I turned the receiver on, nobody there. Well, guess what, folks? If everybody's listening and nobody's transmitting, the band will seem dead. So I wrote a blog on why you should call CQ. You call CQ and all of a sudden you'll end up on that spotting map. And all of a sudden the band isn't dead anymore. And then people see you, oh, maybe I should call CQ. And they call CQ. And all of a sudden the band map has got lines all over it. On these filters, there are two things. One is DE. DE in Morse code means from, and that's you. And we're in North America and we're in California. The DX is in SA, South America, Oceania, Asia, and Europe. Now, how to find them in contests? Well, there are a number of phone contests coming up very soon. Next weekend is the ARRL DX contest phone. A couple of weekends ago was the ARRL DX CW contest. But now we have the phone contest. It's a 48-hour contest. And basically, United States and Canada amateurs are trying to contact as many DX stations as they can. And the DX stations are trying to get as many US and Canada operators. This is unlike the CQ Worldwide DX contest where everybody works everybody. Here in this contest, because I'm in California, I don't want to talk to anybody in the US. Back in the CW contest, I'd call CQ test, which is short for contest, and I'd get some idiot in Georgia or Florida or Alabama, he would call in. And I had to find a function key that sent DX only. DX only. Now, some people still don't get DX only. So, okay, I solved that problem. I typed this call sign into the call sign field. I sent him an exchange, 59 California. He sent me an exchange back, 59 Georgia. Thank you. I pressed Control W, wipe him from the log. He thinks he talked to me. Great. It's not in the log. I can't log it. The logging program won't let me log it. He doesn't seem to get that. Which, by the way, if he had read the rules, he would have already known that. So first step in running any radio contest is read the rules. In my presentation later, I'm going to show you where the rules website is. Now, next month is the CQWW WPX. We have colloquially called that the weird prefix contest. This is a fun contest because every prefix is a multiplier. In contests, we get multipliers for the different kinds of stations we contact. In this contact test, we get a multiplier for the first time we contact every prefix, no matter who it is around the world. My prefix is WQ6. I see around here a KB6, a KG6, a KT6. Those are all valid prefixes. So as it turns out, beginning operators are a wanted commodity. We want you on the radio because we get points for making contacts with your prefix, KM6XYZ, N6GEO, WQ6X. So I encourage you to read the rules, find out what the contest is all about. It's a 48-hour contest. These contests, you don't have to operate 40 hours. Just put in 2 hours here, 3 hours there. If you have a favorite band, I'll talk about that in a bit, then you can figure out which band is on at which time and sleep in until that time. In contests, I often run remote with November X-Ray 6 Tango. And I've often joked that the only reason they let me play with them is because I'm willing to do the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift. I love middle of the night operating. I could go into all the reasons I love that. Bottom line is, at night, we know that 160 meters, 80 meters, and 40 meters are going to be open. And with the high sunspot cycle, even 20 meters now is starting to stay open all night. If you want to work DX, in October is the CQ Worldwide DX contest. By the way, all of these contests have a phone part, a CW part, and a RIDI part. There is a CQ Worldwide RIDI contest in November, I believe it is. There is a CQWPX RIDI coming up very soon. Or no, we just had that. There are other RIDI contests coming up as well. What about logging software? If you want to enter a contest, and I recommend that you do, because you'll work DX stations and you'll find out how to become a better operator. It's one thing to be able to run a traffic net. I used to do that, very important. I still check into traffic nets, usually on 75 meters in the evening. That's one style of operating, but running a radio contest is another style. In traffic nets, you can kind of take a laissez-faire attitude and everybody has a good time. In radio contests, the goal is to talk to as many different people in that period as you can. And I recommend you actually submit a log file to the contest. It turns out if nobody in your section or your state submits a valid log with a score higher than you, you take a first place. I think it was Woody Allen who once said, sometimes success is just showing up. I've got a plaque on the wall for the 7th area QSO party. I was just screwing around one weekend and I got first place outside of the 7th call area running mixed mode. That only happened once. People woke up and realized that they handed that to me. Well, the way I did that was I had to log the contacts. At the end of the contest, I created what's called a Cabrillo or Cabrillo file. It's a special format that is accepted by most contest groups, and you submit that file to the contest. Well, how do you make that file? Well, there is software out there. My favorite, partly because it's free, is called N1MM, or N1MM Plus is what they call it today. Now, George knows his way around iPhones. I don't, so he found out that there's a program called Skookum. That's a weird name. You can, and so you can use Skookum on the Macintosh. A lot of people have Ham Radio Deluxe. Ham Radio Deluxe can log contests. When I run with NX6T, we use a program called WinTest. You have to buy it. I think it's like $80. It's worth it, actually. And a variation of WinTest called DXlog. There's W3FJP is another software program. If you want to find the different software programs, go to your internet search engine and type in radio contest software. It'll bring up a list of all those things. Optimize your rig. Make sure the background noise is less than S5. If you can't hear them, you can't work them. Now that 10 and 15 meters are open, China has been coming in really strong. We can hear them, but guess what? They can't hear us, most of them. The noise level in the industrial areas of China is so high that our signals, while reasonably strong, their noise is stronger. So know how to use your noise blankers. There are noise blankers and noise reduction DSPs in most of the new radios. I use a method called stereo CW, but it also works, I can call it stereo SSB. It's a pair of Autec QF1 filters set up for the left and the right channel of my listening experience. Both of those filters have a notch in them, which sometimes I can notch out pieces of noise. Most transceivers, I'm running an FT2000 Yaesu, and I came from an FT1000MP Yaesu. They have noise blankers and they have digital noise reduction. But guess what, folks? What they don't tell you is the digital noise reduction only works on the left ear, only works on the receiver A. The receiver B, there is no noise reduction. So I put external filters in for the right channel and handle that to some degree. If you're willing to spend $3,500 to $4,000, you can pick up a used FTDX 5000 that has filters on both ears. They've got it all worked out. If you're getting noise from noisy circuits around you, you need to take a little shortwave receiver with an antenna, even an AM receiver with a whip antenna, wander around your location and notice where the noise is. Sometimes to get rid of noise, if it's atmospheric noise, turn your RF gain down just a little bit. Back it off, because the RF gain kind of acts like a squelch. So if you back it off just a little bit, the noise will go away and you won't really lose much in the way of hearing signals. The preamp that we use in radios is sometimes needed for 10 meters and 15 meters. Luckily, the higher in frequency we go, the less noise becomes a problem. On the lower bands, 160 through 40, I often run those preamps, but they amplify the noise as well as they amplify the signal. And the lower bands have a lot of atmospheric noise, especially lightning crashes. So the preamps isn't necessarily a good idea. On the transmit side, of course, I shouldn't have to say this, but make sure your standing wave ratio is the minimum you can get it. Narrow your transmit audio. As it turns out, anything above about 2000 hertz doesn't really add much to the quality of your transmitted signal. So a lot of the new radios have a built-in equalizer. You have to invoke it through the menus, but you can tailor your audio to fit 350 to 2700. A lot of microphones, the Heil microphones, are designed specifically to limit that frequency response. You actually don't want hi-fi when you're in a contest. Hi-fi, the high frequencies, nobody hears anyway, so you're robbing yourself of power on that. Know the proper phonetics for your call sign. George is November 6 Golf Echo Oscar. I am Whiskey Quebec 6 X-ray. And I'll put the information on 6 X-ray because some people oftentimes don't hear that. Now I have to make it louder. When I run November X-ray 6 Tango, November X-ray 6 Tango. Notice the emphasis there. Most newer radios have voice memories. So in fact, you can record your voice into those memories. Memory 1 is usually used for CQ. Memory 2 is where I'll say 59 California. Memory 3 is where I'll say thank you, QRZ. QRZ means who's next. And memory 4, I'll put in my call sign. Washington, Quebec 6 X-ray. And you can press those buttons and play them out. That way you save on your voice. Let's see here. The most important thing is to get on the air. A lot of people are retired, and I'm not, but I talk to them and they tell me about, oh yeah, they get on 40 in the daytime and the 75 in the evening, and they know about when the bands are open way better than I do because they're on it every day. But in fact, if you're willing to try things, notice what George said here. The better antenna is the enemy of the one you have. George has managed to work both Thailand and Austria running mobile between Stockton and Escalon with the mobile antenna. Now, I'm going to one-up George. I used to have a Kenwood TS450. It's a transceiver. It was a nice transceiver in its day. I had it sitting on the passenger seat in my car as I was driving down Highway 5 towards Los Angeles. I didn't have an antenna, but I did have a 2-meter mag mount. So I screwed the 2-meter mag mount antenna into the antenna jack on my Kenwood 450, got on 17 meters, which is 18 megahertz. I called a station in Japan on CW. He came back to me and gave me an S2. He could barely hear me, but I was there. So I ran 17 meters on a 2-meter mag mount mobile. Half of my car was probably the antenna. And that's pretty much what happened to George. His bumper was the other part of the antenna. The important thing is to get on the air. And that's why I'm going to tell you the other side of this story. Let's see here and get rid of that. Am I still here? Yes, I'm still here. Well, oh boy. There we go. Now let me share it again. And there we are. More thoughts on radio sport. We used to call it contesting, and people would say, I hate contesters. Well, in Europe, they call it radio sport. And in about the last 20 years, we've come to call it that here as well. Success in radio contesting is doing the right thing at the right time in the right way for the right reason to obtain the right results. But in order to do that, in order to know what the right thing is and the right time to do it and the right way to do it, you got to read the contest rules. So if you want to engage in a contest, find the contest rules. The ARRL contests, their rules are on the ARRL website. CQ has their own specific websites for contests. And there is the contest calendar, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Another way of saying this is do the correct thing at the correct time in the correct way for the correct people to obtain the correct results. When I put this PDF together last night, it kind of things overlapped. I'm not sure what happened when I converted it to a PDF. But I have a motto: when in doubt, cheat, but within the rules. I wrote a blog on that. You can find my blog. Let me well, I'll come back to that. Before my talk is over, I will give you a link in the chat to wq6x.blogspot.com. I wrote a blog entitled When in Doubt, Cheat Within the Rules. I'm a member of Toastmasters, where we learn to speak better. And this time of year is speech contest time. Last night, I took second place in the Alameda speech contest. I've written blogs on comparing speech contests with ham radio contests. They're very similar in a lot of respects. And one of the things I advocate is cheating, but within the rules. Well, what does that mean? It means come up with an idea that nobody had ever thought of before and might give you an edge. The other people will say, well, that's not fair because I didn't think of it. Yeah, that's right. You didn't think of it. So you need to be a genius like Wile E. Coyote here. If you're a genius, you can come up with things that people didn't think of. Back in the 80s, I ran the All Asian DX contest. I wrote a cheesy little computer logging program, and I ran it on a mainframe computer from my office. In those days, computers weren't one way or another, people rarely used computers. So when I submitted my log, I didn't tell people that I logged it on a computer because they might have thought that was cheating. Today, if you don't use a computer to run a contest, you don't stand a chance. So cheating within the rules means use your head and come up with new ideas. Now, this is one of my beefs, not only about contesting, but about ham radio in general. It's called the national tune-up frequency. Do you know that there is a national tune-up frequency? I'll tell you the frequency of the national tune-up frequency. The frequency of the national tune-up frequency is the frequency that you happen to be operating on at this very moment. There was actually a discussion forum on one of the other websites describing should we actually make a tune-up frequency on each band. The problem with that is that a lot of antennas are narrow band, so we'd have to make 3 national tune-up frequencies on each band, one for CW, one for Iridium digital, and one for sideband. It's a joke, but the bottom line is people don't listen before they transmit, and you get that's what the digital notch filter is for. Press your D and F button. but a lot of digital notch filters only notch it in the audio, not in the intermediate frequency amplifier. So while you can't hear the S meter is still at S9. An expensive radio will digital notch filter inside of the IF, and then the signal goes away completely. But national tune-up frequency, it seems, and I've noticed on 40 meters after midnight in single sideband contests, I will be jammed with RTTY and data signals that never show up in the middle of the week. You tune the phone band at 2 in the morning on 40 meters, no carriers, no RTTY stations. But the minute a sideband radio contest starts, carriers show up immediately. RTTY stations show up immediately. Now people say, but the band is dead. How can I talk to people when the band is dead? And I go look at the solar flux and the space weather. Space weather looks good. How do you know the band is dead? Well, I turned my receiver on and I listened around and there was nobody there. Well, did you call CQ? I've written a blog on why you should call CQ. Because if everybody's listening and nobody's transmitting, we'll think the bands are dead. Or you might be listening to the wrong band at the wrong time. I'll talk more about that in a moment. So which band should I operate? This, you can get this chart in any QST magazine. I think they have it. I think they publish it every month. This is an ICOM supplied chart. And can we, let's see here. Oh, if I want to make it bigger, which is what I'm going to do. There we go. I'm going to, This is what the high frequency spectrum looks like. Notice the color coding based on what class of license you have. Now, George wants us to run 10 meters. Good reason for that. Look how big the phone segment is for 10 meters. Technician licenses can run 10 meters. Also, there is a segment way at the top of the band. If you're into running FM like you do on VHF and UHF, they got a FM segment at the top of the band. I've never done that, but the advantage of that is you get the best of all possible worlds. You get 10 meters and the skip possibilities, and you get the noise free of FM on HF. People love to work DX on 6 meters for the same reason. In general, the higher frequency, lower wavelength bands are open in the daytime. And as we move towards the end of the day, the maximum usable frequency, MUF, gets lower and lower and lower. As that sun sets, the frequency that is best drops and drops and drops. Eventually, when we get into sunset, an hour or two past sunset, the bands that are best are 30 meters and below. So 30 meters, 40 meters, 60, 80, 75, and 160. In the daytime, these bands are relatively worthless. 40 meters, you can get pretty decent reception most of the day. 80 meters and 160 meters, the absorption of the D layer of the ionosphere is so great that those signals are largely absorbed, and you're lucky to talk to somebody across town on 160 and 80 meters in the daytime. But as the sunset goes down, 80 and 160 come up, and 10 and 15 go away. So if you want to know which bands to be on, that's the general rule of thumb. You can tune around, you can use the DX websites, and something George didn't mention because it doesn't apply necessarily to single sideband. There is a network known as the Reverse Beacon Network. Type in reversebeacon.net on your browser, and it'll bring it up. I think I did do a talk about this for the ARCA Radio Club last year. The Reverse Beacon Network works on CW, and it works on most digital signals. And what it is, if you call CQ on CW or digital, then the receivers that are tied into the Reverse Beacon Network will hear your signal, run it through an A to D converter, converting it to digital, and it'll decode the signal, and it will spot into the band map your call sign, what frequency you were on, what time it was, and how many dB over the noise your signal was. So if you want to know if the band is open on CW or RIDI or digital, call CQ, go to the Reverse Beacon Network and type in your call sign and see where you were being heard. And this is the weird thing. The Reverse Beacon Network will spot me all over the country. So my signal is being heard S7 in New England. But you know what? There is no human being with the radio on in New England on that band. So big deal that I can be heard in New England. If nobody in New England is actually on the radio, too bad. Conversely, I'll get calls from people, and the Reverse Beacon Network never heard me, and so it never posted me, but people will hear me. It goes both ways. It is another way to determine if the band is open. A side way to determine it, type into your search engine software defined receiver, SDR. There are software defined receivers. That's how the Reverse Beacon Network works. SDRs send data to the Reverse Beacon Network saying this is who we've heard. Well, with SDRs, you can, I use an SDR, the KFS, Kilowatt Foxtrot Sierra SDR. Type that into the internet, and it'll bring up a website, and the KFS is in Half Moon Bay, so I can hear stations that are heard in KFS. Some nights on 75 meters, when I check into traffic nets, the conditions are really weird, and I can't hear most people, but I can go to the SDR. I can pick them up there. They can hear me, but I can't hear them. So SDRs are all over the world. And if you want to know if you're really being heard in a particular area, the Reverse Beacon Network says you are. Find an SDR receiver in that area and type in the frequency that you're on and listen to yourself. It's interesting to hear how other people are hearing you. So in the daytime, from sunrise on up, the maximum usable frequency goes up, 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 sometimes up into 6 meters. And then it goes down, and then down, 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 down to the lower frequency bands. There's a window that you should know about. It's called the gray line. Before 2 hours before and 2 hours after the sunset or sunrise in your area, whoever the path exactly 1/2 a world away, exactly on the other side of the world, you have a path, because while you're going into sunrise, they're going into sunset, or while you're going into sunset, they're going into sunrise. And that window will open up a pipeline into those areas where you can work those stations. They will be really loud for maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, maybe even an hour. So you can hear stuff. There are on the dxmaps.com website, they have the gray line set up option on the world map. So you can see during your sunrise who's in their sunset and point your antenna in that direction. 10 meters has an advantage in that you don't need much power. 5 watts, I've been doing a lot of QRP operating lately, running 5 watts. Turns out 5 watts with a Yagi antenna can work the world. I'm going to this morning when we're done, I'm going to head out to Concord where I have a station set up, and I'm going to be running the North American QSO Party RIDI contest. Starts about now, started 6 minutes ago. I'm going to be running NAQP RIDI. The contest goes from 10 to 10, and we can work 10 hours out of that. And I'm going to run 5 watts, see what happens. So those are some thoughts on contesting. Traffic handling, if you know how to handle traffic, you already are kind of on the road to running contests. Read the rules. Tune the band and then read the rules again. If you're not sure what information you need to give in a contest, tell the call a station and say, I'm new to this. What do I need to give you? And he'll say, what state are you in? Well, I'm in California. Okay, then you say to me, 59 California. I'm in North Dakota, so I will send to you 59 North Dakota. Most contest operators are willing to help you out. Reasons for radio sport, emergency preparedness. You can try out new equipment configurations. I put in an intelligent auto tuner in Concord a month ago, and I've been able to really check that thing out. I made neurofeedback therapist, so I can tell you that radio contesting and traffic handling strengthens your brain, and you'll learn a lot about propagation, which areas of the world are open at what times. And of course, it's fun. To find a radio contest, go to your search engine and type in WA7B&M contest calendar. That calendar has been invaluable to me to tell me what contests are going on at any time of the year. The QST and CQ magazines have contest information every month. They also have websites. Go to their websites. The ARRL has a contest email sent out every 2 weeks that gives you more information. There is I'm on a news group. I can't think of the name of it. I'll have to come up with that later. It's the QSO Party news group, so that you can find out what state QSO parties are going on at any time. What do you do after a contest? Well, what I do is I produce a Cabrillo file, and I send that Cabrillo file to the contest sponsor's website. Some contests still want you to send it by email. I report my score to 3830scores.com. And I always fill out the soapbox, the comments of what happened during that contest. And then when the results for that contest are published, you might see your soapbox comments in there. Contests often have many categories. There is single operator. Assisted means you're using the internet to find stations to work. Unassisted means you're just tuning your radio. Multi-single means you have multiple operators, but only one transmitted signal at a time. Multi-two, George and I, we run multi-two when we run the California QSO Party. Multi-operator, 2 transmitters. We ran multi-single from St. Croix. one transmitted single at a time. Multi means you have multiple transmitters running multiple operators. A lot of contests have a special entry classification. If you've never done a contest before, you're considered a novice or a first timer. They give you a special category to compete in so that you can compete with other people that have never done a contest before. If you might just get yourself a certificate. I've talked about some of these things, the contest aids, the contest calendar, DX maps. There is what is known as the Beacon Network, the Northern California DX.org Beacon Network. I did a talk on this. I believe you type my call sign WQ6X in on YouTube. I believe this particular one was there. There are 18 beacons all around the world that every 3 minutes they transmit a series of identifiers, and then they switch to the next band. So they go round and round, and you can, by tracking these beacons, find out what areas of the world are open. I mentioned the reverse beacon network. And if you want to learn how to run contesting, a lot of conventions and ham fests have the contest university. They'll actually give you training on how to become really good. Again, to prepare, I check the contest rules. I look at results from previous years. Sometimes who competed. I got into doing QRP events because I saw there weren't very many people doing QRP events. So the number of people I'm competing against gets real small. So that's why I'm running QRP right now. I also look at my old scores. I review documentation from previous years. I make goals. What do I want to accomplish throughout the weekend? I monitor the space weather for about a week beforehand to know kind of what to expect. I even devise a per hour band plan. What band am I going to be on at what hour in the contest? Then for me, after the contest, there's my blogspot.com. I post contest results for almost every contest. Admittedly, I'm about 3.5 weeks behind right now, but I'm going to catch up tomorrow. There are also WQ6X and NXT videos on YouTube. And be sure your QRZ.com page is up to date. Go to QRZ.com and type your call sign in, and you will see if you're there. Now, I'm a big CW operator because back when I took my test, you had to know Morse code. You want to know something? Morse code is still the most efficient digital mode we have. So, bottom line. But people new to the hobby didn't have to know code, but some of them want to do it because they're finding out that it's a lot of fun. Well, you need code practice. Guess what? W1AW is still doing code practice. This page that you see is right out of the QST magazine. So go to the back of QST magazine. You'll find out what their code practice schedule is for what day of the week. And their frequencies are basically 47.5 up from the bottom of the CW band on 67.5 up on 15 and 10. The problem that I have is that people love to jam code practice. What's that all about? I thought we were big boys and girls here. I frequently hear FT8 stations sitting right on top of code practice. There's no need for that. I give a window. The same problem happens with the beacon on 20 meters at 14.100. I hear RTTY stations operating right on top of the beacon. As a matter of fact, that's a violation of the amateur rules. before you transmit, you're supposed to listen. And if you hear a station on there, you go find a new frequency. Otherwise, you are intentionally causing interference, and theoretically, you could receive a citation for that. Although, in all honesty, it's not going to happen. It's just poor operating ethics. People want to become better at Morse code. Give them that opportunity every evening. The bands are huge. We have plenty of room. Space weather. Deal with it. This was from 6 years ago. This is how bad it was 6 years ago. Go look up the space weather today. Solar flux is around about 150 something. The A index is pretty low and the K index is pretty low. But notice on this particular day, we evidently had a big solar storm and it killed the bands for several hours. Bottom line, it's all quite easy.
That was easy.
Now, let me open it up for questions and then let's get out of here because I know you guys have things that you would like to do. Thank you for listening to my diatribe and translation of George to why you should not only do HF, but specifically why you should do 10 meters.
So does anyone have any questions for Ron or Craig, who's representing George here?
We do a HF net Thursday night, 28450 lower, and that's which I can hear occasionally on my radio, but they do it quite often. And then they also have a morning nip, but it's on 1.7 something, I believe. I don't know. I don't participate on that because I'm at work. So, but anyway, that was a very good talk, and I will let George know that it got across. And you can, if you have any interest or things about TCARES, we have a really good website, tcares.net, and it talks about our repeater system and what we do and how we do it, and I invite you guys to check it out. And so, and with that, I'm going to get off of here because I have a board meeting, ours, in about 11 minutes. So I'll get out of here. So gentlemen and ladies, it was a pleasure to meet you guys, and hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Well, we loved having you. And I didn't expect you here, but great. It's just, we love members from other clubs. So if you have meetings and if you allow us to join your meetings, we would love to do that.
Absolutely. You can pick up our moccasin repeater where you guys are. You'll be hearing us in about 10 minutes. So
Okay.
with that, okay. All right. Have a good day, guys. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank
Craig.
you.
All right, any other questions for Ron or anything else? I do have one comment before we go, so but ask Ron any questions you have for him about his presentation or anything else. Okay, I do want to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, the Oakland Marathon is coming up March 19th. So if you're interested in joining that, you can contact Mike Pompa. You can go to ORCA's website, www.6or.com/public-service. And down here, you'll see a calendar of different public service events. Click on the Oakland Running Festival and then more details. And it comes up with a page to ham radio signups. Click on there and it'll take you to ham radio signups. You can fill in your information. It's a great way to use your ham radio in a safe public service event type activity. You can be net control, scribe, shadow, on the street, on a street corner, driving in a vehicle, pick up runners. I ride my bicycle on the course and do first aid and traffic control and course marshal. So if you're interested in doing the Oakland Marathon on March 19th, let us know. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, I think we're done, Ron.
All right. Well, you know, I'm so thankful that you know how to, you and Donna know how to run these meetings. I can rattle off a few words, but you guys put the structure into it, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so if there's nothing else, then I thank you very much for joining, and we'll talk to you next month.
We'll see you all next month.
Thanks for the presentation, Ron.
Thank
Very
you. And
good.
can, yeah, that recording was made. Can somebody make that recording available?
Yeah, I believe what Donna said it goes to the, I don't know if it goes to my machine or if it goes to the corporate. I have to find out which machine it goes to.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, Donna knows where it goes to. So,
Yeah,
okay.
that way we could make that available to the TCARES group as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Great.
Okay.
Have a good day.